I am back with some more techniques using the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. If you watched my previous video, you know how excited I was to share these techniques that were new to me, and reading your comments, which I so appreciate. This was new to many of you as well. So I really hope you guys give these techniques a try at home, because I think you're going to be just as addicted to them as I am and have just as much fun. And some of you have used these techniques, so that was fun to read about as well. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils, which are different than watercolor distress pencils. They're different than watercolor crayons, but I'm going to show you how you could use them to create a beautiful vintage card using a watercolor wash background, and also how you can use them to create a really cool edge around your cardstock layers for your card making and your scrapbooking and different projects. So without further ado, let's start stamping. This is the card that I shared in my last video, and I said I would be doing a video on this because I loved all the different ways I incorporated the watercolor pencils with this card, along with some fun techniques. So I am not going to use the same stamp set. I'm going to use a different stamp set, and I am going to use the Happy Hibiscus with the elements of text, which I did use on this card, and I'm going to use a different color scheme. So I have my pre-cut basic black cardstock. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 for the card base. So let's just go ahead and put a good crease on the fold. Okay, and then I have Melon Mambo. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. This Fairy Vanilla, also 4 by 5 1/4, but I'm going to be tearing the edges, so that's a little bigger than what I need, but that's what I need to work on. And then I have a basic black strip that measures 5.5 by 1 and a piece of scrap. Okay, let's jump in. This is really fun. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is zoom in for you. Okay. The first thing I want to do is lightly pencil in a rectangular frame. Now you could use a circle or a square. I'm pulling out some of my retired rectangle dies. You could use a ruler, of course. Okay. So I'm just going to position that there. Then I'm bringing in my watercolor pencils, which I have since sharpened since my last video. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab the early espresso. Okay, and this is Fairy Vanilla. I don't know if I said that. So you can use basic white. You can use our watercolor cardstock, which I'm going to show you, if not in this video, my next one, the difference using our watercolor cardstock. Okay, so I need to just, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna go in like that. Okay, so all I'm going to do is lightly go along those lines with my early espresso water painter. Oh brother, with my watercolor pencil. And I have been wanting to get this video done for you guys forever and a day, pretty much since my last video, and I have just been so busy working on other projects. So today, being Friday, I'm like, I am getting this video done for my friends to hopefully give you guys some inspiration for the weekend. So I am hoping I can do this video without editing too much. Now I'm bringing in some water and some paper towel, and you could use a water painter, you can use a paintbrush, whatever floats your boat. I'm just going to use the wide water painter, and it's just stained green, but it's clean. And I'm just going to pull this color down. See how that's, look at that, so much fun. Love seeing it come together. This is going to be kind of a vintagey looking card. The lines don't have to be perfectly straight. I'm just trying to pull some color around the border of this. Okay. And I'm going to grab this again, and I'm just going to pick up some of that brown right onto my brush and pull some more of that color down, so you can make it as dark or as light as you want. And what I'm doing, you guys, is I'm kind of letting some of that ink just settle here and there. See how I've got some stronger color here and there? I want that. I have a little puddle of water, so I'm going to drop some more color in there. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. And then you can let this dry on its own when you do this yourself, or you can use the like a heat tool, which is what I'm going to do. I just got some fun splatters on there. You can never go wrong with splatters. Okay. And then the last side. And this is going to look different when it dries, right? Because that paper is wet. So it's going to soften up and lighten up a bit as it dries. Okay. Actually, I want a little bit more in this corner. Whoops, too much water. Too much water. Pick up some brown. Okay. I'm going to zap that with my heat tool. Okay, now I just realized I made a little mistake, but there's no such things as mistakes, right? But when I did this one, I stamped my image first and embossed it, and then I made my rectangle around it. Let me zoom out for you guys because I'm not staying in camera. There you go. So that's fine because I'm actually going to be using a solid image versus an outline image. Two-step stamps, which I love two-step stamping. Okay, so I am going to start with my outline. Oh, that's a nice big stamp. That's so pretty, isn't it? How do I want this? I want this like that. Okay. Let me grab my block. I am going to emboss this image, so let me get my good old embossing buddy and my Versa mark. Now I haven't decided. Oh, am I doing this right? Yes, I have a plan. I have a plan. Stick with me till the end if you're wondering, like, what in tarnation is she doing? Oh, I have a plan. It's coming together. I'm tweaking my plan a little bit as I go, but it's going to be awesome. Okay, coming in with the black embossing powder. That's why you want to make sure your paper is dry before this part. Okay. Gonna heat set that. I'm actually gonna create a mask for these flowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the coordinating dies and cut that out with some scrap paper. Okay, so I have my masks, and these are just done out of computer paper. You can use post-it notes, but I just grabbed what was handy. And I have my Melon Mambo watercolor pencil. And I'm thinking I'm going to pull in some yellow as well. So what I'm going to do is I have a water bottle, just an old water mister. I just have water in it. You can use our Stampin' Spritzers. Well, actually I have one right here. See? Let's use that. We'll use the water spritzer, or the Stampin' Spritzer. All the technical names. All right, so I just spritzed a little bit on my block, and now I'm just going to scribble on some of my yellow and then my Melon Mambo. Isn't that cool? I got some fuzz. I don't want some fuzz on there. Now I suppose I could have done this first and then stamped and embossed my outline, but then again, this way ensures I'm getting it exactly where I want it. Okay, so see, helps me line it up. Kind of, sort of. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp it down. Hold it just for a minute so it really gets onto that paper. Lift off. Oh, is that pretty or what? So pretty. You could actually get more images out of this one, which I also shared in my last video. So I'm just going to do another spritz because I don't want to waste that color. And I'll just stamp the outline on top of that. Okay, so now I'm just going to move on to the next one. And I'm going to stick with the same colors. Okay, so I'm just focusing the yellow around the center. And then around the edge. And it's really pretty how those two colors blend in together. If you want, you can pull some of that color down. More fluff that I don't want. Okay, let's do this one now. Oops. There we go. I am so obsessed lately, you guys, with the watercolor pencils. I tend to go through that with chalks and then my watercolor pencils and then my inks, but right now I'm on to the whole watercolor pencils. Oh, okay, what next? Now we're gonna do the little one. And I'm not worried that I have a little bit of brown showing there. I'm not gonna worry about that. I wish it wasn't there, but it is. Let's just say that. Okay. Where's my little guy? Here he is. Spritz. A little bit of this. And I do a lot more Melon Mambo on this one. There we go. It's always magical when you lift the stamp off. Oh, look at that dark, the extra dark. Oh, okay, I really like that. So I want to incorporate more of that onto my stamped images. So I'm going to grab my other water painter here that's got a bit more of a finer tip. And I'm going to go right into, actually let's dab, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. Let's dab a little bit of water on here because I don't want to lose all that blending. So I'm going to do one at a time, and I'm just going to drop that color right into that water and let it do its thing. So see, I was like, oh man, I'm not really super duper happy about some of that brown coming through. Well, it's okay, isn't it? Because look what we're doing now. We are, you won't even know. Well, you'll know because you've been watching. Don't tell no one. And I don't want to lose all those fun little markings there, so I'm just going to drop just a little bit here and there. I'm kind of following along the lines now, but I'm also losing my yellow, so I'm trying to be careful. So I'm just going to do a bit here and along the edge. And really play around with it. Okay, I'm gonna zap that. Okay, so I've gone in and I've added some more color just to fill it in. You can just keep tweaking it how you like. I think I want a little bit more yellow right there. So make sure my brush is clean. I'm gonna go right into that yellow and just tap. Just tap. Same thing, if you want to add a little bit more yellow and blend it in, you can. You can do whatever makes your heart happy. But by stamping that solid image down, you still get all the beautiful blending. And I'm just enhancing it by adding some more color. Just play. Just play and have fun. And I don't believe my flowers have to be, you know, the same colors that they would be in real life. Just play. If you do want them to be, you know, authentic, obviously Google image search and you can see all the different colors of hibiscus flowers. Okay, I'm gonna heat that. Okay, let's make sure that's dry. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in my solid image again and my embossing buddy, and I'm gonna stamp the same image, but this time I'm just gonna use Versamark and I'm going to emboss right on top with my clear. I'll just stamp that down. You don't have to do this part, but I tried this with the card the other day and I absolutely loved how it turned out. And the colors underneath your embossed images are going to pop out even more. This is bendy a little bit because I got it wet. And my little guy. I don't think I got enough on that guy, but it should be fine. Okay. Gonna set that. So nice. All right, now it's time for some greenery. So this is where the masks are gonna come in. So I'm just gonna put the big mask down first. Let's see. Right there like that. And I'm going to and do the same thing. I'm just going to emboss with the black. Do I want to put this one on now? That's not even right. Oh my gosh. There we go. Always like to make things harder than they need to be sometimes. Okay, let's start with the black so that we can see where we're at. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and heat set that, and I've decided I'm gonna do a third leaf on this one. And then I added the little ones down there, so let's get the embossing powder on. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the coloring in a second, but right now I'm going to, while I have all my embossing paraphernalia out, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to stamp congratulations on this one. And I'm going to emboss that with white. And this sentiment is from the same stamp set. Sentiment. I'm going to bring this back in, and I'm going to do the green leaves just the same way that I did the flowers. And I'm going to use granny apple green and some garden green. Okay. Light mist, and I always start with the lightest of the colors first, and then we'll bring in some of that garden green. Oh, I need my mask. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. In actual fact, because I have the embossing on the flower, whoops, that needs more water. It would resist this color anyways. All the embossing is done, and one of the things I love about doing this technique with the watercolor pencils is you get the little splatters underneath. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks so cool. I love it. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to filling in the center portion. So I'm going to bring in my wide brush, and I'm just going to float in some color. I'm going to work in sections. I'm going to bring in some Night of Navy. And I'm just going to go directly off the brush and just pull it in. Add some more water. Now I'm going to go in with some purple. This gorgeous grape. I'm just going to swipe it across. I don't want it to be super dark. I just want to get some of the different shades in there. And this is going to move some of the color that I just put down as well. Just go in and layer it. I like those different colors in there, so I'm just going to drop a little bit of purple here and there. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry. Now you get all the different shades of the blue, a little touch of purple in there. I'm going to leave it just as it is because I like that. Okay, next I'm going to bring in this stamp, which is also part of the set. Let me show it to you here. I'm using this one right there, okay? And I'm going to use early espresso with this. Whoop, too much water on there. If you put too much water on, your stamp's not going to want to stay on your block. I don't want it to go into my frame. See, it's a little bit too much water, but it's going to give it a pretty look, so I'm working with it. And then I'm going to take this off, dry that. Okay. I keep putting too much water on there. So I'm going to go back using my misting bottle. So cool. For the elements of text, I am going to use ink because it's such a fine script, right? So I'm going to bring in my masks in. And we'll start with this one. Oops, there we go. And I used this one on my sample, but I think, now how do I even want my card to go? I'm going to keep it landscape. I think I'm going to use this script for this card. And I'm going to stamp it with black memento. No, sorry. I'm going to stamp it with basic gray. And I'm going to need another piece of scrap paper because I want to stay within my frame. So this is me keeping it real. I know I could make a different mat, but I tend to do things maybe a little bit harder than I need to, but it works, and so that's what I'm doing. I like a challenge. Oh, look at, oh my gosh. I almost don't want to do over here. I'm going to though. So I'm just gonna put that there. You know what? This is emboss resist, so why am I worrying about that flower? Why am I worrying about that flower? Why didn't you guys say anything? I'm gonna move my stamp up so it's not completely lining up. And I'm gonna leave that little gap there and put a little splatter. Oh my, I am really pleased with this. I think we need a little bit more right there. Okay, bringing in the next fun technique. This part you've probably seen before. Just tearing the paper towards me. I'm going to do that around all the edges, trying not to get that tip of that leaf because I like it. So I like this look just as it is because you've got that fairy vanilla kind of breaking through the brown, right? But I'm going to show you something pretty cool. I'm going to take my water and just put it right on my glass mat. Quite generous amount. And then I'm taking my black watercolor pencil. And I showed this in my last video, how you can make little pools of paint with your, or paint, you know what I mean. And just work it in until you get it as dark as you want. I don't need mine super dark. I'm gonna mix that up. Get all that pigment in there. Okay, now watch this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right around those edges. And what it's going to do is it's going to soak up that paint. Or that pigment, I should say, that color, all the way around. See? So just go right around your edges. And then go back and get the areas that you missed. Right? Isn't that fun? Look at that. And then before it dries, you can go along with your fingernail and just rough it up if you want. And that is a really fun way to get a super vintagey look. Okay, so these edges aren't dry yet, but I want to do one more thing to make it look vintagey. But I don't want my ink or my watercolor pencils to blend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to take my Stampin' Spritzer and spritz the back just to dampen the paper. And this is the part where you guys are going to be like, what in the world are you drinking or sniffing? And I'm going to crumble it up. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am crumpling. Look at that. Look at that. What in the world, right? What in the world? Living on the edge. But you guys, nothing bled because I spritzed on the back end. But I'm going to have all the crinkles. And if there's not enough crinkles, just crinkle it up again. Just crinkle it up until you're happy. It almost feels like material. So cool. Okay. When you have finished crinkling to your heart's desire, then you want that to dry. Okay? Then you want that to dry. And we're going to speed things up. So now it's dry. I am going to bring in my pecan pie for the next step. This is one of those cards, if you haven't figured it out, that has a lot going on. But it's so cool. It's so much fun. All right, I'm bringing in just an old sponge. Use the side that looks like it has brown on it. And I'm just going to go right on top, and wherever those crinkles are, look at it, it just goes right on top of the crinkle lines and makes it look so vintagey. Some of these are just really old techniques that I'm bringing back and kind of tweaking and using with, you know, our current product. But it's just so much fun, right? It's so much fun. Okay. So I'm just going to take my paper towel, it's a little bit damp, and just wipe off any excess that may be sitting on my flowers. And there we go. Now, you'd think we'd be done, but no. Now I'm bringing this crosshatch image back, and I lightly mist it. I'm going to take my white watercolor pencil and go onto that black strip. I only need a little bit because it's going to get covered underneath this image. See? Fun. Okay, we have the beautiful hibiscus embossing folder that coordinates with this set. And I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine and embossing machine. Bringing in some linen thread. And I'm going to grab some tear and tape. I guess I should make sure, first of all, where's my sentiment? That's going to go across, right? Oh boy. I didn't think about that. Okay. Let's just gear down here. Gear down, Big Rig, because I need to trim this out. I think I'm going to put it right there. So, just put my tear and tape there. And we're just going to kind of put this linen thread kind of willy-nilly just to kind of add some texture. Make it kind of look like a bow, maybe. Okay, and then dimensionals. And here's the completed card. So that is a super fun technique if you like playing around with different ways that you can incorporate colors, texture, and all kinds of funness, especially if you loved mixed media. I'm sure you can take some of these techniques that I shared with you today and use them on your projects. Now, the same things I showed you today were how I made this card with the mushrooms. So notice, totally different look, but that was just using different stamps, of course. The background, I used the type image instead of the script. From the same stamp set, I stamped leaves around the edge versus the crosshatch, and I did not emboss on top of the mushrooms like I did on these, where I get that beautiful shine and those watercolor pencils really pop off the page. But I wanted this to be more matte, so the outline is embossed, stamped in black and embossed in clear, and then I used my watercolor pencils to color, put the color wash down, and I am really thrilled with how they both turned out. So I hope that gave you a ton of ideas today. I'm pretty sure it did, because there is a lot going on today with these cards. So I hope you take some of these ideas and techniques and have a lot of fun with them. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps my channel, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care and happy stamping.